Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Bring It Back. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that were canceled and or short-lived that I would like to see get brought back in some shape or form. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the CBS show Instinct. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Instinct is, basically you have this, what would you call, well, his name is Dylan. Basically, he used to be part of the CIA. He's kind of a teacher now, but basically he has his ability of being able to, he's really good at kind of understanding the behavior of people, kind of understanding why they do what they do. It's almost like kind of like dissecting human nature to a certain extent, and just kind of like almost kind of getting inside of people's head and understanding why they do what they do. It's a crime drama, so he's kind of with police procedural elements to it, because he joins up with this cop named Lizzie, and basically they solve crimes together. It's just, you know, like, I mean, once again, I've made it pretty clear, like, I like a lot of police procedurals. I know that's a genre that a lot of people just don't like, that element, like Case of the Week, because I know in certain other stuff people don't like the Monster Week of the thing. People don't like, you know, the Case of the Week type of thing, but I liked it. I dug it a lot, especially because, like, the big focus being, like, obviously it focused on, you know, Dylan's situation. For one, his history, like, a lot of the story does talk about some of his past with the CIA, kind of why he left the CIA, obviously his marriage to his husband Andy, and obviously where that story takes them, because, like, you know, Dylan kind of having so many hats on, in a sense that, like, because I also left it off, he's also an author as well, because he wrote a book, and even one of his editor, or rather, is Joan, played by Whoopi Goldberg, constantly wants him to write the next book. You know, it's like, you know, but obviously he's got so many hats on, you know, author, former CIA, especially because when that plays into his friend Julian being a part of the story and everything, and also working with the cops, being a husband, and just like him being kind of pulled in so many different directions. You see that facet of his life, but also, you know, like, obviously, like I said, a big part of it is also his relationship with Lizzie, who in the first season had just came off of losing her previous partner, who was her fiance Charlie, so that being part of her story, and obviously Dylan's world mixing with hers, turning into a whole thing in season 2. It was a really neat show. Like I said, I like the relationships between a lot of the characters. I like the story, especially where season 2 left off, because sadly the show was canceled after its second season last year. The fact of the matter is, the show is going in really, really interesting directions, because it's like, obviously we're dealing more with Dylan's past, one particular kind of a ghost from his past reappearing, and the very, like, complicated nature that brought about it. So season 2 ends off on a thing of like, oh yeah, you kind of go off, Lizzie, go off and do your thing, and then when you come back, we're going to kind of pick this up. So it would have been like a little bit of a time skip thing, probably like a couple months before Lizzie came back, and what that would have meant, like how things would have changed. That would have been so interesting to see. Hey, maybe Lizzie wouldn't be the same after everything. Maybe all that time later, because spoilers and stuff like that, but Dylan and Andy were working on adopting a child. That's a storyline element in season 2, and, like, you know, how that all would have played out. Like, you know, a lot of would have changed, is, you know, kind of what I was saying. And I was really excited to see even just those main story beats, you know, especially because, like I said, his CIA days are always something that's in the background. It was never to the forefront, but I think this would have been the season to really push that, like, what stuff did Dylan get up to, because, like, he didn't like who he became while he was part of the CIA, the stuff that he did, and maybe we would have really gotten some good instances of kind of seeing firsthand, like, a lot of that stuff that he didn't like. So, like I said, it was a really interesting show that, like, sadly was short-lived. You know, I would love some, like I said, some network or streaming service to kind of pick this up. Once again, I don't know how much the demand is. Once again, when it always comes down to cancellations, I always assume it's mainly from a situation where just not enough people watch something. So that's always the thing, like, I never know, like, how much of a fan base is behind the show to be like, oh, they want it back as well. But this is a show that I really dug, because I liked season 1, but I feel like I really, really dug season 2, because even in season 2, they did something they hadn't really done in season 1. Like, it was an overarching story in season 2 about a serial killer, and, like, that, like, because Charlie's situation was kind of slightly the more, like, overarching story in season 1. This case ended up being the more focus in season 2, but regardless, it's a show, like, I wouldn't just want it back for one season. Like, I want it to, you know, have more life. So if that involved having a 3rd, a 4th, and 5th season, I would have been fine with that. Once again, just, like, let the series go on as long as possible. I wouldn't want want just one more season, I would want at least 2 more because I'm greedy. If they want to give me a third, you know, making a total of 5 seasons, I would have been down for that too, because once again, I'm just greedy and selfish and I want what I want, you know. But nevertheless, you know, I got my fingers crossed. It's been a year, well, yeah, basically about a year at this point in time, I think, yeah, since it got canceled last year. So maybe, you know, something could happen in the future, you know. It probably seems less likely, but I'm always got my fingers crossed, hoping that something does change. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good